What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Dual Sense podcast. This is episode 14. I'm one of your co hosts, Jason. I'm joined, as always, by Travis. Travis, how's it going today?
Still recovering from catching up on Peaky Blinders and my immense and unmeasurable disappointment in the ending of season 5.
Well, you can't spoil the show here, but just can you talk generally what your issue with it was?
Yeah, every time I like a character, they're no longer a character.
Mm.
Well, that's not really true. Sometimes they don't need to be characters anymore. What did I not like? Well, it's a cliffhanger, which is fine, and usually I like to wait until all of the episodes are out before I watch a series because I hate cliffhangers. It's just like I felt like there were ways to avoid what happened that were pretty apparent, and
Mm.
they somehow didn't see them, and they somehow couldn't put them together, which seemed very unpeaky like. In the last season, there's stuff that was happening that I didn't catch on to until it happened, which usually I'm pretty good about catching on to things in movies and TV series. So I've come to expect that, like little things I don't necessarily see coming, and then none of those things happened, and everything I saw happened as I saw it, and it was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, I think that I think I've told you before, but I think that season 5 is the weakest season, if memory serves.
Right? It was just slow. But they did a good thing. The good thing they did do with that season is they avoided the Dexter issue, which is spoiler alert for Dexter, but every season there's a new villain, and every season the villain dies.
Mm.
Every season it's the same thing. Like we got a new bad guy, he's gone. We got a new bad guy, he's gone. Like I get it, you know.
Peaky's a little bit that way, would you say?
Yeah, it can veer that way, but it's
Mhm.
a little more. It's not as predictable. It's like a Guy Ritchie movie at times where there's so many layers, it's easy to miss one, and then if you rewatch it, you can kinda see where you miss things.
Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs, we promise this is a weekly PlayStation podcast where you and I get together and discuss all of the latest news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and a little bit more in the world of PlayStation. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts and also on YouTube if you prefer to listen there. If you'd like to engage with us, you can do that on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. We do also stream games occasionally at twitch.tv/the DualSense Podcast. If you enjoy the show, we hope that you will subscribe, leave us a review, and share us with a friend or a loved one. Or if you don't like what you hear, share us with someone you hate. And either way, we're fine with that. We post episodes every Sunday on all the podcasting platforms as well as YouTube. So without further ado, Travis, talk to me about what you've been playing this past week.
Well, I won another F1 race, I actually streamed it this time, and,
Hmm.
had another part fail. It's a common theme, so I had a major aerodynamic upgrade fail, which didn't seem to matter because I won. I won the pole by, 8 thousandths of a second, which is crazy.
Wow.
Um,
That's
I
yeah.
I cut a corner in the last chicane and it didn't give me a penalty for some reason. So I should have qualified like 15th because I should have had a second penalty, but whatever. Anyway, I won the race. It was a fairly boring race outside of that. I don't really remember anything that happened. The F1 league that I commentate for last week, I was the only commentator.
How did that go?
Well, I wasn't prepared. I didn't find out until about, I don't know, 5 minutes before it started.
Hmm.
They also shortened qualifying, and so that kind of cut into my time I would normally had to be prepared. One guy decided it was he said he was going to dinner. I guess he's doing his own thing, and the other guy said he had a panic attack and couldn't be there. So I had very little time to prepare. I was prepared to be like Aaron Andrews. I had my questions and things like that, and then all of a sudden I'm calling a race and like I'm trying to figure out where the points are and remember all the turn names and this, that, and the other. And then I had to be the camera guy too for the live stream. And it was
Oh
just,
my god.
yeah, I wasn't ready for that level of commitment. If I would have known a few days in advance, it would have been much, much easier. But all things considered, I think it was fine.
Did I see that you guys are off this week? Is this an off week?
Yeah, it's an off week, which is good because a couple of drivers have to, pull a 12-hour shift at the hospital or the Costco or wherever they work. So
Hmm.
we'll be back in next week. I don't even know where we are next week.
Is it a UK holiday or something? Is that why, or is it just they're just taking a break?
I think they're following the actual F1 schedule. The actual F1 is off this week, and they'll be
Oh,
back
that's
next
cool.
week. So I think we're just kind of mirroring what they're doing, except for the tracks, because there's a couple F1 tracks that are one-offs this year that we don't have. So
That's cool.
other than that, what do we do? Played a little COD last night, and we kicked some ass last night.
You did, and I did not.
Well, anyway, I was kicking ass last night. Got like my fourth chopper gunner. I didn't realize I could steer the damn thing. That's how little I get them.
Or shoot
And
missiles.
or shoot missiles. I was shooting the gun for like what, a minute and a half, and then I was like, "Oh, a missile!" And I started shooting missiles, and then
Uh-huh.
a guy shot me, and I realized I could move it as I was going down, which is fine. I finally figured out how to fly the chopper gunner right before the new one comes out, so perfect. And then we smashed Avengers, pun intended, because I love being the Hulk.
Hmm.
I think what we're both about, our power levels are both about 100 now,
Yeah, yeah, we're over the century mark.
which is awesome. So we got 50 more to go, and then I
Mhm.
guess we'll switch out some characters.
Mhm.
I mean, the newest, I guess, perk I have is if I grab a guy, I can grab two guys now, and I can smash them together,
Oh, wow. I haven't seen you do that yet.
and
That's awesome.
it's awesome. No, I haven't gotten it to work. I keep messing it up. Like I'll end up grabbing a guy, and then it's kind of like I have to make a decision. So usually I'll just jump in the air and smash him into the ground. Just that's just fun to do anyway.
That's dope. That's so awesome. The powers or the bit whatever, the perks, the abilities are so fun.
Oh yeah, I love just beating the crap out of people into the ground.
Mhm. Did you play anything else?
No, that was well. I did play some Fall Guys with my wife last night. We tried the new update. They've added some different stuff to pretty much every level. They'll kind of change as you go. Like sometimes you'll be on the whirly gig and they might add some hammers in a spot, or the second fan you go through, maybe it's the third fan you go through. That big open field they used to have is now randomly it'll
Mm.
have hammers in it, or
Oh, great.
they'll put a gigantic hammer in front of the at the end of the yellow ramp that speeds you up to jump. They'll put
Mhm.
a gigantic hammer there. There were some floating hammers on the seesaw if that wasn't hard enough anyway.
Jesus.
So some stuff like that they threw in. Some of the spinny things they've added bars to randomly, so that makes them twice as hard. And they've taken away a couple of shortcuts you could take on some of the uphill climbs. You can't really hug the corner anymore because you'll get hit with a hammer, or the little snowmen that move will get you. So they've added
Mm.
some cool stuff that's pretty clever. But yeah, it's fun. It's kind of back now to where it was. You know how it was fun and competitive, and then it got like all the little kids and fucking nerds were really good at it.
Uh-huh.
And then this kind of knocked it back a little bit, made it a little bit more easy for the what do you call them? Not the casual gamers. What's the word you call them?
The filthy casuals?
Yes, for the filthy casuals.
Hmm. Well, this week I played Red Dead Online per usual. Got my challenges. And I ever since they've updated the game recently, when they fixed it from where they broke it with the update, if you can keep track of all that, I hardly ever see any other players in the game.
I've heard that.
That's pretty common, yeah, across the board. I will just randomly see a player, like one player, every now and then, and usually they're in defensive mode, which means that they don't show up on the map. So I'll just like randomly see or hear a horse like galloping, and I'll look, and it's a player. So
Perfect.
I don't know what the deal is there, but I can tell you that the animal spawns, really the spawns for everything are have been awesome. Like the random events and those sorts of things, like they pop up all the time. So that part is cool. I still, in a way, I miss having the other players like in the game, but I'm sure that they'll fix that at some point. Then played Call of Duty, like you said. It was not my night last night. I just couldn't pull it together. It's just one of those nights for me. Hopefully, I got all the bad juju out because we're going to be partaking in some more Call of Duty tonight that
Right.
we'll probably talk about in a little while. And we played Avengers, as you mentioned, and still just grinding out Captain America. He's awesome. I love playing with him still. And we need to try soon to get all four of us together so we can do one of those vault missions.
That's
pretty
right.
soon because we can all do that now. And then the last thing that I was playing this week was I caved and bought NBA 2K21
I'm so proud of you.
after I said that I wasn't going to get it. So here's why. Here's why I got it. I had like $100 in store credit at Game Exchange, and obviously I know that I'm going to get the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, and going in and buying used physical copies of games isn't going to do me any good. So I was out in town one day and I was like, I'm going to swing by there and I'm going to see if they've got any PlayStation Vita games. And I'm just going to buy like I'm going to check prices and just buy a bunch of Vita games and, try to get some because they usually don't have like the market value on their Vita games.
Mhm.
So I went in there and I saw some Vita games that I was interested in. And then literally the shelf below it in the glass case was brand new copies of 2K21 on PlayStation 4. I was like, oh man, I never even thought about this, but I mean, it's basically not going to cost me anything. And I know that the My Team progress carries over to the next gen, so I got to thinking about it. I went ahead and got my Vita game. I got Jack and Daxter collection on Vita, which they were selling for 21, and
Nice.
the cheapest you can find it on eBay is like 40. So I went ahead and got that, and then I went ahead and got a copy of 2K21. Figured I didn't have anything to lose. So with all that said, played that a little bit. Just played My Team. Started it just starting out basically. They've obviously updated the shooting, which has been the biggest problem so far after
Mhm.
launch, pretty much universally. I tried the aiming stick for a little while and it was okay, but it's just not for me. So I disabled the shot aiming and just went back to how the stick was last year, which was timing based, as we've talked about before.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, I watched a video today that was from yesterday and of a YouTube streamer who streams exclusively or whatever, makes content exclusively for 2K21. And he was talking about how difficult the game is. And I got to say, there's something going on with the difficulty this year. Like they've turned the sliders up or something. And he looked at them, and there's only like from pro or from rookie to Hall of Fame, which is the hardest one. There's only like 8 points difference
No
between
way.
rookie and Hall of Fame, like on all the sliders.
It
Yeah,
used to be like 50 or something, didn't it?
yeah, it was significant, and it's not that way this year. I don't know if that's a glitch. I don't know if that's by design, but I can tell you that I played a challenge because it was like an agenda item or whatever to get XP. I played a challenge on Pro 5 minute quarters. I played like the 1990 Detroit Pistons. They had the best Isaiah Thomas card you can get in the game, the second best Joe Dumars, and and then a really good Mark Aguirre card. They had great cards, and I was doing whatever I wanted to at the start of the game, and then they just turned it on. They wouldn't miss. I couldn't guard them. It didn't matter
Mhm.
what I did. They were getting all kinds of offensive rebounds. I was unfortunate, and I forced overtime twice, and then won in the second overtime and beat them. But I'm going to tell you, it was difficult. And I mean, I
It's
know I'm not playing with great cards, but
right.
it was pro. So
Still, it's like that old it's the old Madden glitch where the CPU catch up glitch, like racing games would have it where they would magnetize and catch up with you randomly.
uh huh,
It's
yep.
just like that.
It is. So then I was like, well, okay, I played some really tough cards. So I tried a game of triple threat offline, which is 3v3, and it matches the cards you play to the match to the cards that you use as far as their level. So I played with all emeralds, and it gave me emeralds, maybe a gold, I don't remember. And I played a point guard, a shooting guard, and a center. It played two centers and a point guard. I could not do anything, and not to mention it was just doing whatever it wanted to do.
Right.
So the difficulty spike is real for whatever reason, and I guess maybe it's just going to take some more practice, or maybe they'll patch it and change it. But man,
Right.
I can tell it's going to be a grind. So
Always suck when it first comes out anyway.
right, but I mean, it felt good. I was wanting to play a basketball game, so it worked out. I'm
Right.
excited about it, and I'm excited about it for now. But if I start playing and it's just beating my ass into the ground, I'm not gonna be as excited anymore. So
Speaking of, did you see the idle pack they released today?
Manu is Manu.
Yeah, Manu's the best card, and they had like a Luis Scola and a Paul George, and like, listen, guys, if your idol is Paul George or Luis Scola, and you love basketball, you got some fucking problems, man. Like, I don't know what games they're playing, but like idols are like Jordan and
Correct.
LeBron and Kobe. Like, don't give me fucking Luis Scola. Like, listen, he had a nice hook shot, but that dude never played defense.
Yeah, they are not very good cards at all.
Like,
The
yeah,
only one I would ever want to play with was Manu. So,
yeah. I mean, I guess if you're like from Germany, Dennis Schroeder would be your hero because he's German, I guess. But
mhm,
like, come on, guys.
I know. So I'll play that every now and then and see how that goes, just to get my feet wet between now and the PS5, I guess. So that's all I've been playing this week. With that, Travis, it's time to get into the news. Number one, Sony finally unveiled more information about the PlayStation 5 at a Wednesday showcase event this week. The stream lasted about 40 minutes and was jam packed with game demos and trailers, as well as the price and release date of the console. There was a lot to digest from the event, so let's break it down in the proper order of events, Travis. We can kind of stop and talk about each one of these briefly here. The show started off with an announcement and gameplay trailer for the long rumored Final Fantasy 16, which will be a PlayStation console exclusive. Any thoughts there on Final Fantasy?
For people who aren't me, they're probably playing their vuvuzelas really loud and dancing around in the corner. That's cool, and I love how they always start off with these type of games, which is fascinating to me because this game is Final Fantasy is a worldwide hit, I think would be fair to say. It has
Hmm.
global appeal. It's kind of like soccer,
Sure.
and I just don't get it. And it's a little unfortunate for me because I feel like I'm missing out on something pretty cool. But that being said, it's not PlayStation without Final Fantasy. I feel
Right.
like we need this
Yeah.
for the 5, and I'm excited because other people are excited about it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's not for me either. I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I've never been interested in one, but at the same time, I respect and understand that this is a big deal for PlayStation and also for Final Fantasy fans. So good for them. Good
Yeah,
for PlayStation and
good
good for
on them.
Final Fantasy. That was followed, Travis, by a Spider Man Miles Morales trailer and gameplay demo, which looked insane.
Yeah,
What did you think about that?
it really did. Not bad for a non full price game is what I thought when I watched it.
Hmm.
I love how we started off walking through the neighborhood party and the way everything looked and felt. It almost it had its own little atmosphere, but in a different way. Like open world games have their own kind of feeling, or even Hitman has its own feeling in its own little world. But it felt more lively. I'm not sure if that's the PS5 or they're just really good at developing games.
Yeah, yeah, it felt really dense and alive, just like what you're saying. It looked cool. It looked
Right.
awesome. The combat looked
It
awesome.
did.
It was very very cinematic combat, and the graphics. Although the trailer wasn't in 4K,
Hmm.
it still looked very impressive.
Right.
So,
And the story seemed like it was actually good. Like it was enough to
mhm,
engage me in that little, what was it, like a 3-minute clip we saw, 5-minute clip.
yeah. After that, Travis, Warner Brothers Interactive revealed their Harry Potter open world RPG called Hogwarts Legacy with a cinematic trailer that may have had some gameplay mixed in. It appeared.
Hmm.
We learned that the game will release in 2021. Any thoughts there?
I want a John Wick game like this.
Phew, I know that'd be so awesome.
I've never read the Harry Potters, and I've seen most of the movies. It's kind of cool. It's like it's a cool way to interact with the world that you see, and then it's kind of like when you read a book and then you watch the movie, you're experiencing the world in a different way, but you can never really interact. So it's kind of interesting to see their interpretation of all these things we've read about and seen for years. It's kind of a cool expansion of that brand.
Yeah, I've never read the Harry Potter books either. I tried to in school. They just weren't my thing.
Right.
I People won't believe this, but I've never seen any of the Harry Potter movies either. I know generally what it's about, obviously. It's hard not to. But I'll say that this game looked pretty cool. I mean, I am a huge nerd, but like it looked cool. I don't know, like the open worldness of it, and it looked pretty and it looks cool. It's got my interest, so we'll see. I don't know if it'll be something that I'm into that I actually want to play, but
Right.
I people were super excited about it. That was followed up by a gameplay demo from the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War single player campaign, and it looked epic. Then a developer from Raven Software, who is in charge of the single player campaign this time out, announced that there would be a Black Ops Cold War alpha this weekend exclusively on the PlayStation 4.
Mhm.
What'd you think?
So I'm watching this in my office by myself. There's nobody there. Watch the campaign demo. I'm excited. It looks cool. Looks pretty interesting. Then this dude comes out and says, "We can play the alpha this weekend for free." And I just start going like clapping like
Ge-
I'm in the audience. I'm in a room by myself. Why am I
That's awesome.
clapping? That's why
Yeah.
I got excited because it was like, I really didn't want to have to play or pre-order it, have to play the beta. So I was excited. And then we get early access and I felt like I
Yeah.
was just in some sort of cool club.
I literally said, "Oh shit, this is big."
I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, and the single player snippet that they showed was awesome
It really
looking.
was.
It's some new gameplay mechanics that
Yep.
I don't think that we've seen before, as far as you're able to take body shield hostages and things like that.
Hmm.
So looked
There's your
cool.
cover. Did you see? I wonder if we can do that in multiplayer. That'd be kind of cool. Did you see the clip with the RC car on the airport runway?
Hmm. Can't wait.
I was like, yeah, let's go.
Can't wait. Up next was Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8 to some, which gave us a cinematic trailer that looked creepy as hell and revealed that the game will be out in 2021. I think this is going to be your game of the year 2021, right?
You know what? It probably will win an award like that. It wouldn't surprise me, but it's the second time they've gotten me where the trailer started and I'm like, this looks cool as shit, and I'm into it, and then I'm like, nope,
Something
I'm not
jumps
doing
out.
that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, it was cool for a minute, but I'm out. Like I said, I played what was it, 2 or 3 where those little humans ran on the ground. That was it for me.
Yeah, I'll never play the game. Looks pretty. Looks great
I bet
for a
it's the
Resident.
best one ever.
Yeah, but I'll never play it. So good luck to you guys out there. Deathloop followed that with another gameplay trailer and introduced some Hitman vibes with
Mhm.
where you can set targets up for assassination, Travis. The game will launch in the second quarter of 2021. So what did you think about that? Did you catch that kind of Hitman-esque stuff going on there where you could
Right.
set the targets up?
Yeah, you can set them up and kind of strategize a little bit, which was cool. But you also seemed like you had you're obviously getting hunted, so you're timed in that way. But it also seemed like you were timed literally by time.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it kind of had like like how you can travel in Dishonored,
Yeah.
and they made that game too, right? And the same creator or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So I thought that was pretty sweet that you could kind of teleport over.
Mhm.
And my first thought was like, I'm gonna suck at this game, so it's gonna take me, you know, 10 hours of gameplay to figure out how to portal at the right time.
That so I've been interested in this game, but this trailer
It's
made
over the
me
top.
yeah, this trailer made me very interested. And then when they introduced the fact that you can, do certain things to manipulate the world to get
Mhm.
targets in the certain location at the same time and things like that,
Yeah,
that really kind of piqued my interest. So
right.
I got my eye on that one.
And I like the idea of you're being chased. And I would like
Hmm.
to. I really hope there's like a 1v1 multiplayer, like I guess a PvPvE would be like that, where one person's hunting you and you're hunting the CPUs.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is. I think the
So
other person that hunts you, I think, is a real player, if I'm not mistaken.
that'd be pretty awesome because you could can you imagine like you're setting up somebody, but they're like 3 steps ahead of you, setting you up,
Right.
and it'd be a blast.
That was followed by the announcement of Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which gave us a gameplay trailer and revealed it would be out at launch on the PlayStation 5. I don't have much to say about this. I know that it's a big franchise for Capcom. People love it. It's kind of like Final Fantasy's following in a way. What do you think? Anything about this?
I saw Capcom and was like, "Come on, SOCOM," and then they said Devil May Cry, and I thought, "Fuck this," and then I didn't pay attention.
That was followed by a trailer for Oddworld Soulstorm and a new Five Nights at Freddy's game called Security Breach. Neither one of these interested me, and that's why they're both on the same note here.
Right.
Did you have any thoughts about this?
No, just Freddy's was terrifying as always.
Mhm.
It was like legitimately, it wasn't terrifying like Resident Evil. It
Yeah,
was creepy.
yeah. I know people love the Oddworld franchise, but I don't get it. It's not for
Yeah,
me.
I mean,
So,
it looks cool, and that's about my interest level.
yep. After that, we got back on track with a lengthy Demon Souls gameplay demo. The game was both gorgeous and terrifying, Travis.
Right.
What did you think about that gameplay demo?
You know, I've never played these because 'cause they're so difficult,
Yep.
and the way I play games is very undisciplined, so that makes me terrible at a game like this, but I was kind of into it until I saw the fiery spider. I hate spiders in general, and the fiery spider terrifies me. If we could take the fiery spider out, like, if there was a non-spider mode, I would buy the game because it looks like it's pretty fun. Like, he was kicking ass, like, running up
Yeah.
there just killing all those knights. Like, it was hilarious.
The game was gorgeous, and then after I saw the side by side picture
Oh,
of that
yeah.
I texted you guys earlier today
Jeez.
of the same segment, oh my god, it's just so it's night and day. And I played the original game on PS3, and I didn't hate it. It is super difficult, but I also did not get very far in it. I got past the first boss. This game interests me, but I also don't want to pay $70 to be pissed
Just
off the
yeah,
whole time
right,
while I play a
right.
game. So I probably won't pick this one up unless maybe down the road when it's on sale or something like that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, it looks amazing. So
It might end up on, the PS Plus collection.
mm. Sony then cooled off a little bit, Travis, with some Fortnite stuff. Whatever. I guess because it's a PlayStation 5 launch game.
Hey, they gotta get the kids interested.
Yeah, Jesus. Whatever. I'm not even going to ask you about that. That was followed by the announcement of the PlayStation Plus collection that you just mentioned. It's a new PlayStation Plus benefit coming to PlayStation 5. Current subscribers will get access to a collection of PlayStation 4 generation defining titles such as God of War, The Last of Us Remastered, Detroit Become Human, Persona 5, and several other bangers. The entire collection will be available to download and play at the PlayStation 5's launch. What do you think about this?
I thought it was pretty awesome. The game list is kick ass. Yeah,
Yes,
it's got a
it's
lot of awesome shit.
it is. It does. There's going to be no reason now for you to not play some of these games because they're going to be free. They're going to be
Yeah,
bangers.
I might start with The Last of Us Remastered since it's on there.
I would say you should at least play that, and you should at least play God of War because I think you could handle. You may not be able to handle The Last of Us because of the stuff jumping out at you, but you can handle God of War because if you like Marvel's Avengers, it's kind of like just destroying shit, cutting shit in half, So you
Right,
can definitely do
and
that.
then we got all the mythology in it, which is pretty sweet.
It is. We were really picking up steam at that point, Travis, and Sony finally revealed that the PlayStation 5 will launch on November the 12th in certain countries, including the United States, and on November 19th in the rest of the world. So, what do you think about the release date?
So we were pretty much all over that. We were all over both of the options. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the world and the 12th. Did you
Yeah.
notice the fine print when that popped up?
I'm not sure.
It said they're still working on a release date for China. I thought that was interesting.
Really? You did text me about that, but I did not notice that on the trailer. That is weird.
Yeah. I guess it's their internet, whatever you want to call it, their internet regulations.
Or it might be their communism.
Yeah, they probably, I mean, we know they don't like them, but they'll take their money, I guess.
I forgot to mention it here too, Travis, but they obviously told us the price as well. So
Right.
the PlayStation 5 standard edition, which comes with the disc drive, is $499.99 US dollars. And the digital edition without the disc drive, obviously, is $399.99 US dollars. So any thoughts on the price as well?
No, I just thought that it was about where we expected it. I was kind of thinking it was either going to be for the discless, it was either going to be 400 or 450. As we got closer, I kind of was starting to think it was going to be more expensive just because I was, I'm a pessimist. So figured that was going to happen.
I think the release date is very close to where we thought about, and it makes a lot of sense in regards to the 7 week or 7 day ad buy in the UK that we discussed a couple of episodes ago. Do you
Right.
remember that?
Yeah.
With starting on the 13th and lasting through the 20th. Now it makes perfect sense, and I'm going to give you a Jason was right moment where I said that you want the advertising campaign to start either when or right after the console is out, so it can say available now. Also, as far as the price, I think the price is just about perfect. I don't think that you could be more expensive than Xbox, and I really don't think that they wanted to go over $500 just because there's a negative connotation with that, especially given the problems that they had with the PlayStation 3's price at launch. So I think they hit the sweet spot on the price, and I think the release date is fine. Going, 2 days after Xbox, it'll be fine. I do think one thing I wanted to point out is I think it's a little odd that it's a week before Cyberpunk, and but then I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized that the 19th is the launch of the console in Europe, which is where CD Projekt Red is located. So they're
Right.
going to launch. They're going to launch alongside their PlayStation 5s in their regions.
Makes sense.
But for a split second, I was like, I wonder if PlayStation was originally going to launch on the 19th, to be there for Cyberpunk, and then they backed it up. But then I realized that Europe is going to get it on the 19th, so that'll be a nice little launch game for those broskies. But Travis, there was one more thing, a teaser for God of War Ragnarok, which launches in 2021.
Mhm.
And that was a holy shit moment
It really
from the
was.
stream. Although we had an idea that this game was coming because it was a pretty much foregone conclusion that we would get a God of War sequel. We
Mhm.
didn't we didn't know for sure. We'd only heard rumors and things like that. So
Then
this was a this
we got the CIA level tweet earlier in the day.
we did about the first letter of every tweet
Yeah.
and all that. Is that what
I
you're talking
love
about?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah. So that was a big stinger at the end. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I guess I gotta play God of War now so I can play Ragnarok with you guys.
God of War, honestly, I love The Last of Us Part 2. I loved Ghost of Tsushima. I think God of War might be the best PlayStation 4 game. You need to play it.
Are you getting nostalgic, or do you really think that?
No, I think that. I think I feel that right in my balls,
You feel it right in your plums?
right in my plums. Number 2, Travis, following the showcase stream, the PlayStation 5 world devolved into chaos as we were left with no news of pre-order availability from Sony, and the internet went appropriately bonkers. Industry heavyweight Jeff Keighley began tweeting that he was hearing PlayStation 5 pre orders may go live Wednesday night, and then backtracked and said he was told they would be live on Thursday at certain retailers. What followed after that was nothing short of madness, as retailers around the world began taking pre orders at various times throughout the rest of the night, with the console going in and out of stock everywhere. This all came on the heels of Sony explicitly telling us previously that we would have plenty of advance notice for when pre orders would go live. So what in the hell happened, Travis?
I have a couple theories, and one I think disproves itself. So we can start with that one. The most easily dismissible theory is that Sony let this happen on purpose to kind of see or create a fury of interest. So you
Hmm.
get kind of like all these sellouts happening immediately, and people are like, "Shit, I got to get one now." So let's
Right.
start crashing all these people. Sony doesn't care if you buy it from Target or Best Buy or Walmart; they don't care.
Right.
And you create this sort of demand by throwing it out to the wolves like that. That's one theory, but you can kind of say that's not logical because they told us they were going to give us plenty of advance, they didn't. So that's an easy way to dismiss that idea. Another idea that might be more likely is some retailer, just missed the boat and let their pre-orders go live. And then everybody else was like, well, I'm not missing out on this. And they just let it flow. That seems more likely to me.
Yeah, I think that if I remember correctly, Walmart I think was the first one, at least in the US, to open pre-orders. And then from there, it's exactly what you said. It was just like the floodgates. It was like everybody was like, "Well, we're not just going to let Walmart do this. It's, we're going to go too. If they're not going to do anything about Walmart, they're not going to do anything to us." So,
Right.
it was just chaos. It was just like one after the other. And I think that it's bullshit that after Sony publicly said that they would give everyone advance notice, which I guess they did apparently in a tweet say, Thursday, that wasn't Thursday.
Yeah.
So I think it's ridiculous that that's how it went down. It was absolute chaos. It was not fair to the fans, and I understand why people are upset about it.
Hmm.
At the same time, I've also seen a theory that Sony did this on purpose because they wanted to work around, they wanted to basically throw scalpers off. The reason being that if by just kind of letting them go out of the blue, scalpers could not set up bots to be ready on these websites at a set time on a set day
Hmm.
to go and have bots buy 10 or 15 consoles
Right.
for them to then turn around and scalp on eBay.
Right.
So if that is the case, I guess that's kind of brilliant. And maybe they looked at it from a standpoint. Again, this is speculation. Maybe they looked at it from a standpoint of, well, they can be mad at us now, or they could have been mad at us later when there was no consoles available and they're on eBay for $1,500.
Right.
So
You kind of look at it like we talked about with New Coke. Are they people just aren't that smart?
right,
My guess or my gut feeling, I kind of go both ways on this. There was a fun a kind of a sport to hunting around trying to find one.
it was a thrill.
And yeah, and I was texting you guys. I was having a hell of a journey. Best Buy told me I had 2, then I had 0, then I had 1, and then it kicked everything out of my cart. I don't know what Walmart was trying to tell me. I heard that Target was letting people pre-order 5 instead of 1 at a time.
Wow.
'Cause I heard that from a guy that we work with. I texted him and asked him if he got one. He's like, "I was at Target and they let somebody in front of him take like 5 or 6 pre-orders and they were out."
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that guy dropped like 4 or 5 grand and walked out. So, that didn't help. But listen, I don't know if we can 100% blame PS5 for this. Look, they did a good job of keeping their prices secret. We didn't know what the console looked like or any of the accessories looked like until they wanted us to. Xbox had stuff leaked a week before they wanted it to. So,
True.
if this is the only thing they lost control of because Walmart or whoever decided to put it out, I mean, they were 99% successful in kind of holding everything back. And at the end of the day, look, in January, everybody's going to have one that wants one probably, is what I feel
Right.
like. So listen, just because you didn't get a pre order today doesn't mean you can't get one tomorrow. I mean, people have been adding them in stock ever since then.
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to go in and out of stock, and then I think that after launch, I think that you're going to find them very rarely on store shelves until like late winter, like you said,
Right.
January, February, March. It does on the surface seem that Walmart went rogue, at least in America, and then everything else just kind of went downhill from there. That's what it seems like. So you just have to take it at face value for now, and look at it as something that was out of Sony's control in some way, even though Xbox has been able to control theirs, which is worth noting.
And I guess we'll see how those bots work when their pre orders release.
Yeah, we will. So you were able to get one, correct, from Amazon?
Yeah, I got one from Amazon and it was, Amazon's used to high quantity of people on their app, so it wasn't crashing like Best Buy. It wasn't telling me I was blocked like GameStop.
Hmm.
It was easy. I clicked twice, buy it now, add to cart, got it.
I was able to get one. I was able to get two, actually. I got one from Walmart when their pre orders went live. And the only reason I got another one is because I don't trust Walmart to keep the to keep the pre order and to fulfill it either at all or on time.
So
So
it
that made
wouldn't be
me
the first
nervous.
time.
Right. So that made me nervous. So I actually called GameStop and the girl told me that they weren't taking them till Thursday. Then I started to see pictures on Twitter of people with their receipt. I'm like, oh, hell no. So I get in the car and drive to GameStop. Same lady takes my PlayStation 5 pre order. There was a guy in front of me pre ordering one. So I was like, okay, this is a good sign. So I was able to pre order one at GameStop as well.
Hmm.
So I've got two pre ordered. Hopefully, I just need one of them to hold up and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But there, just before we started recording, we started to get notifications that Amazon sent out an email to those who pre-ordered, stating that they may not get their console on launch date due to high demand. And did you get that email yet, or no?
Yeah, I got it right after I saw it on Twitter. I'm almost more concerned about the quality of the box when it gets here. I'm afraid if they're going to kick it down the driveway or something.
Right,
It's the only console I've ever ordered to have delivered to me. I've always gotten them on launch day, like at
right,
GameStop. So I'm a little apprehensive. Part of me still feels like it's going to get lost in the shuffle. I've
right.
ordered stuff before and then it magically deleted itself, and then I got the money back in my account. So there's a part of me that's kind of like wondering if it'll really show up. Like I'll believe it when I see it.
It's going to be a nerve wracking couple of months for sure. Number three, Travis, the PlayStation 5 news did not stop there, as we began learning quite a bit more on Wednesday night when Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO, Jim Ryan, penned an article on the PlayStation blog with more PlayStation 5 details. For starters, we learned that Sony will price PlayStation Worldwide Studios games between $49.99 and $69.99 on the
Nice.
PlayStation 5. What do you think?
There's a connotation with games. We've talked about this before. Like that's a $40 game or it's a $30 game, and the perception is they're not as good. Um, and I kind of feel like when people see $50 games, that's the new 40.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's what do people mean by it's not as good? Like it's not the quality of Ghost of Tsushima. It doesn't mean it's what makes a game good. Like the Avengers has like whatever it has, a 73 on Metacritic or something, but
Hmm.
it's fun to play. So for me, it's like what you know what I mean? Like Dead Nation, what we pay for that? Like $10, $5,
Yeah, maybe, yeah, 10, 15, something like that.
and we had a blast. So it's like I don't understand where the connotation came from. I guess is my point.
I think a lot of it has to do with the length of the game too, sometimes.
Yeah, but length doesn't always make it better. I mean, ask
That's
any
true.
ask any girl.
That's very true.
I'm just saying. So
Don't ask our wives, though.
yeah, don't ask her. They wouldn't know. Like Valiant Hearts was pretty short, and I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't get it. Like it's fine if it's $50. Like Miles Morales, like people were talking shit
Mhm.
like, oh, Microsoft broskies were like, oh man, your lovely Spider-Man game is $50. It's a $50 DLC. It's like, well, first of all, you're not getting anything on yours, so fuck off. But second, it doesn't mean it's bad. Like if
Correct.
they charge you $70 for that, your argument would be you're paying $70 for DLC. Like it doesn't. I don't know. It's just a stupid argument to me.
What are your thoughts on games going to 69.99 now as opposed to the old 59.99?
I feel like it makes it more sustainable for these companies that they spend 100 $200 million on games, so
Yeah.
or whatever they spend on GTA. They spend like a quarter of a billion on one of their games, and Rockstar spend like that much on
Yeah.
Red Dead or something. So they kind of
Yeah.
need to, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, people are really upset about this 69.99 price on video games, not only from PlayStation first parties, but, 2K obviously, and I don't get it, frankly. I
Right.
mean, we haven't seen a price increase on games for 20 years now, and or almost, I mean, well, 15, yeah, 15 years, I guess, 16 years, I guess. So I just don't get it, guys. Like it doesn't work that way. You've got to raise the price on these things. They're not Our value is inherently increased in 15 years on what we are seeing and experiencing and getting out of a video game, and there's definitely going to be some games worth 69.99. I
Right.
mean, you could argue there are games on this generation that are worth 69.99, like
Right.
The Last of Us Part 2,
And some
like
people
God
would
of
pay
War.
$90 for that.
Yeah, some people already do with the special editions and things like
Right.
that. So,
And that's a good point too. Like the people that are bitching about this are the same people that will spend $90 on a special edition, or they'll be like, "Well, Call of Duty's only $60," and then they'll spend $600 in the next 12 months so they have purple bullets. It's like, do you
right.
not understand? You're still spending the money. Like,
If you buy 10 games in a year,
yeah.
that's $100. I mean, come on. Travis, we also discovered that several PlayStation 5 titles that we thought would be exclusive to the PlayStation 5 console will also be coming to the PlayStation 4. The now cross gen titles include Horizon Forbidden West, Spider Man Miles Morales, and Sackboy A Big Adventure. So, what do you think about this?
Well, I had a question for you about something I read about this. I read online people were using this as an excuse not to buy the PS5 at launch.
Uh huh.
I wonder what you thought about that.
If you feel like you're going to be comfortable playing what are next gen games on a current gen console, just scaled down, then go for it, I guess. So I do take issue with this because after we even crushed Microsoft on our last episode about this, about catering to cross gen titles, having them play on a lower spec console and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And so I've got to crush Sony a little bit on this too, to be fair. They've marketed the PlayStation 5 and the brand in general as we believe in generations and so on and so forth. And then they come out and tell us that three of the biggest, and two at least to be sure, of the biggest games on the PlayStation 5 are going to play on the PlayStation 4 as well. So you can't help but wonder if it's going to hold these games back in a way, just like we were talking about last week. So
Mhm.
there's some vitriol out there online for at Sony for this, and I mean it's fair, it's warranted. I mean, this is a step back. You know, this is walking back the previous stance that they took on this stuff. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm sure the games are going to look and play great on PS5, but you can't help but wonder if they're going to be held back in some way because of this. After that, Travis, we also learned from the blog post the prices of PlayStation 5 accessories. The DualSense controller will be $69.99, which I think is a $5 increase from the DualShock 4 this generation, if I
Mhm.
remember correctly. The Pulse 3D audio headset will be $99.99, which isn't bad compared to some of the rumors that we saw prior. The HD camera will be $59.99. The media remote will be $29.99. And the DualSense controller charging station will also be $29.99. Is anything of note there for you?
All those prices are about what I expected. I still don't.
Yeah,
The media remote thing is interesting. I just use my controller. I don't really know why I need a media remote,
right,
but I get it. I guess your controller doesn't have to be on then so it doesn't die. But I feel like that
right.
headset, I guess $100 is about right. I thought it might be more than that, honestly.
I did too. I thought it would be over 100, but the gold headsets now are 99.99. So I guess they're trying to stay around that sweet
Right.
spot, so to speak. So I was able to get an extra controller and a headset from GameStop. So hopefully those hold up. And finally, the blog post also confirms PlayStation 5 launch games and prices, which will be available on launch at launch on November the 12th. Demon Souls will be $69.99. Destruction All Stars will also be $69.99. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, as Travis mentioned, will be $49.99. You can also get a Ultimate Edition of that game, which includes a remastered version of the original Spider-Man for $69.99. And then Sackboy: A Big Adventure will be $59.99. Anything stand out to you there?
Didn't we talk about Destruction All Stars might be like $40? Did we
We
talk about
did. So,
that?
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that price surprised me for that game. I expected it to be like a 20 or not a 20, like a 30 or $40 game, like 39.99 at most, but
Yep.
obviously I was way off.
Right.
So,
I mean, they can go for it on launch day. I mean, whatever. People are going to buy it. So
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna buy it, but I guess it's gonna be more robust than what we thought.
that's fine.
So,
Well, we saw in that video, a guy was running on the walls and like collecting diamonds or something.
yeah.
So I don't even know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's way more than I expected it to be able to do.
Couple of weird things about these games. So in the Demon Souls trailer in the showcase, it did not give us a date. It did not say it was a launch date. We learned that
Yeah.
after the fact in a blog post.
Right.
It also mentioned that in the trailer that they uploaded that it was coming to play to PS5 and PC. They then took that down and came out and said that that was an error. So they doing some weird stuff on the Demon Souls front. I don't know if there's still some things in flux with that or what, but it's weird that they didn't include that release date if it's going to be a launch game in that trailer. So, number four, later Wednesday, SIE's Jim Ryan again continued the media blitz by giving interviews to the Washington Post, GameIndustry.biz, and Famitsu. In his interview with the Washington Post, Ryan said a few interesting things. First, that the pricing of the PlayStation 5 machines was decided, quote, quite early this year, end quote, and that Sony always intended to offer a version of the PlayStation 5 at the same price point as the launch PS4.
Hmm.
Ryan also confirmed that 99% of the thousands of PS4 games tested for backwards compatibility will be playable on the PlayStation 5. And in regards to gamers' obvious frustration over the cross-gen titles mentioned above, Ryan said, quote, "No one should be disappointed. The PlayStation 5 versions of those games are built from the ground up to take advantage of the PS5 feature set. and we have an upgrade path for PS4 users to get the PS5 versions for free. It's about people having choice, end quote. Additionally, when discussing the life left in the PlayStation 4, Ryan stated, quote, "The PlayStation 4 community will continue to be incredibly important to us for 3 to 4 years. Many will transition to PS5, we hope if we do our job well, but tens of millions will still be engaged with the PS4, end quote." So what do you think about his Washington Post interview? Anything jump out at you there?
Yeah, I guess let's go in reverse and start with point 3, which I think is the most important of those points. And we talked a little bit about this last week, like what would these developers do with these cross-platform games or these cross-generation games? So I hope he's correct in saying that these PS5 versions of any game are built from the ground up just for PS5. And I mean, I don't know what that means for developers. I don't know if that means they have two teams or if it's feasible
Right.
to. I have no idea what that means, but that makes me feel like the cross-gen games we just read about, like, Zero Dawn, Horizon, Fireball Goes West, like, that will still be good and better on 5. Like, that's what we want. That's the whole point of the 5. So, this made me feel like, we're on the right path there, and the developers kinda don't give a shit that the other competitor has a less specced out machine.
I get trying to take care of the PlayStation 4 players. I mean, there's over 100, 10 million, 115 million consoles out there. So I, in a way, understand not abandoning players on the PlayStation 4 entirely. I do get that. I understand about giving people choice, but it still disappoints me in a way that they're doing this. But I'm sure that the games will be fine and play well on PlayStation 5. So
Mhm.
time will tell. It's also good to get confirmation that pretty much all the PlayStation 4 games are going to be compatible on the PlayStation 5.
Right. But that's him saying, like, "Just get the new console, the new games will
Yeah,
play the way they're supposed to, and you can still play your old ones." That's kinda like what he's doing there, which is
that's a
smart.
good point. That's a good point. Elsewhere, in an interview with the website GameIndustry.biz, Ryan also had some interesting things to say there. Regarding the difference in next gen hardware lineup between PlayStation and Xbox, Ryan stated, quote, "In terms of the hardware lineup, the thinking behind it was to try and give gamers certainty when you look at the SKU configuration, certainty that they're buying a true next generation console. It's something I've said before. It's important to make clear that the only difference between a PS5 digital edition and a PS5 standard edition is the disk drive," end quote. Also, in regards to the newly announced PlayStation Plus collection and whether Sony may take an approach similar to Xbox Game Pass in the future, Ryan said, quote, "For us, having a catalog of games is not something that defines a platform." He went on to say, "We have had this conversation before. We are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over 100 million, to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable," end quote. Any thoughts here?
To start with point 1, I thought they did a really good job of making the 2 versions the same minus the disk drive,
Yeah.
and then they made it very clear it's not a less spec'd operation system or anything like that, which is cool. That's what you want.
Yep.
I honestly, I kind of feel like they could have maybe sold them at the same price. I'm not sure it would have made much of a difference.
True.
I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just the way it is now. What do you need the disc drive for? To play your old PS4 discs or to watch Blu-rays?
Right.
And I saw people online saying like, "Well, I'm gonna get the 5 with a disc so I can watch Blu-rays." I'm like, "These people live in a different fucking world than I do." Like, either they
Yeah.
have $100 to throw away. You know how many Blu-rays I have? I couldn't tell you last time I watched one.
Correct. I don't know the last time I watched a physical movie.
I just stream everything.
Yep.
Whatever, guys. But then, w- so I kind of felt like his comment about Game Pass was kind of like a shot fired.
Absolutely.
So again, and I've heard people say too, Xbox is better because of this Game Pass thing. Look, Xbox wants you to buy the Game Pass. If you don't buy the system, but you get the Game Pass, they're going to be happy.
Yes.
And they don't care. And it's a subscription based model. So what does that mean? It means you're paying money every month, right?
Yep.
Look, yeah, I get that you have this pass, and instead of paying, $70 for a game, you're paying this much a month. And in theory, the game is cheaper because of that, but you're still paying a month. So what if you don't buy a game for 4 months? Are you not wasting money then? Like,
Mm. That's a fair point.
That's just how I look at things when I think about money, right?
Right.
So for me, it's like I would rather have a system, and if I want that game, I'll just go buy the game. 'Cause I don't want you
Yeah.
charging me every month because I didn't play anything. Like
Right.
that just pisses me off.
Right. That's a good way to look at it too. I think Sony's model is perfectly fine. I think Xbox's model, if they won't want to commit to that long term, that's fine too. We'll see which one works out. Maybe it works out for both. But so far we've seen that it has not yielded any first party titles of note. And finally, Travis, website DualShockers reported on Thursday that Jim Ryan finally confirmed that the PS5 will not be backwards compatible with PS1, PS2, or PS3 games. In an interview with the Japanese publication Famitsu, Ryan discussed that Sony was focused on implementing new technologies for the PS5 as well as including PS4 compatibility. As such, Ryan stated that, quote, unfortunately, we couldn't reach the implementation of such backward compatibilities, end quote. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, what he meant was we didn't fucking try.
Correct.
Like we're
They
not
don't
worried
need
about
to.
that. Yeah, they don't need to. Like, why are you asking him this question, Dual Shockers?
I'm not convinced that anybody, if you, of the 115 million people who own a PS4, I bet if you sent every one of them a poll and asked them if they cared about playing PS1, PS2, or PS3 physical games on their PS4 or PS5 or either one, I bet it's less than 2%,
Right,
maybe 1% of people who care about that.
right.
I'm not convinced that people care that much about playing their old games on that. I really don't.
The only game that you get a decent amount of people to play would be NCAA football or college hoops.
Right.
And
I've owned every PlayStation console and I love them all, and I'm not interested in going back and playing some of these old games.
right, yeah, I'm not plugging in my PlayStation to play Destruction Derby or whatever I was playing back then. Like it's not happening.
And if I wanted to play one of these games that we've talked about before on the show, like whatever, Die Hard and things like that, I'll just get a PlayStation 1 and hook it up to a TV and
Right.
play it. Like,
Yeah, at this point I'll go buy one, like whatever, dude.
yeah, they're cheap. It's okay. Number 5, PlayStation 5 hardware production has reportedly hit a significant bump in the road, which will result in less PlayStation 5 consoles being available at launch and beyond, according to Bloomberg. The publication reported that Sony has lowered its PS5 production estimates by 4 million units for this fiscal year. Bloomberg sources say that, quote, component production is to blame, specifically with the console's custom system on chip. According to the Bloomberg report, the chip has as low as 50% production yield. In other words, a lot of these chips are turning out defective and less PS5 units are being produced as a result, end quote. It's not all doom and gloom, however, as Push Square added, quote, supposedly the production yield of these chips is gradually improving, but it's yet to reach a stable level, end quote. The Bloomberg report also revealed that Sony was apparently planning to ship approximately 15 million units by the end of March 2021, which will now be down to around 11 million PS5s. Following this, Sony publicly denied the Bloomberg report, stating, quote, while we do not release details related to manufacturing, the information provided by Bloomberg is false. We have not changed the production number for PlayStation 5 since the start of mass production, end quote. All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. What do you think about this?
You know, a lot of us sim racers were crushing F1 for the rate of failure on our development parts, and then we see the PS5 as a 50% production yield. That is
Right.
insane. Can you imagine going into production with something where 1 out of 2 fails? I feel like most
Right.
people would say no.
That's just money down the drain, I feel like.
Right, so I could see this going either way. I could see Sony lying, I could see Bloomberg lying. Obviously, there's some smoke there.
Hmm.
Maybe maybe the projection is 11,000,000, but Sony feels like, with these, I guess, chips improving gradually that they'll still get there. I don't know what to make of it really. I mean, I guess I'm just more concerned about me.
Yeah. One of the weird things about this is that we had previously heard that Sony, a few months back, doubled production from 5 million to around 10 million units. And now in this report, they were up to 15
Yeah, I never heard that.
before this cut. So the math doesn't necessarily add up there. I do think that If you don't get a console pre-ordered, you're going to have a very hard time finding one at launch this holiday,
Yeah, for sure.
and you may not be able to get one until next year. I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. Number six, Sony seems to be pivoting logistically in an effort to satiate PlayStation 5 demand this holiday. Website Push Square reported that Sony will fly PS5 hardware to the US in order to meet launch demand, according to Nyko Partners analyst Daniel Ahmad. Push Square wrote, quote, "The information comes courtesy of Delta Air Cargo boss Jerry Tai, with the Japanese giant booking Delta 747s to fulfill the all important task. Ahmad admits that he's not sure whether the manufacturer has commissioned 60 flights or 60 aircraft, but adds that it does sound like each flight will be full. He added that the air shipments are unlikely to cover all shipments, meaning more units could be sent by sea." End quote. As we have discussed previously, PlayStation 5 consoles will also be shipped by boat to various regions around the globe, as it is a much cheaper shipment method compared to air freight. Any thoughts here?
Ahmad's gonna be out on the coast of Oregon giving us lights, 2 if by sea, 1 if by air. This is hilarious. I mean, on one hand, I love the idea of it that they're, like, concerned enough and want their product out enough that they're willing to get 747s, but a part of me also is like, "We're on the last chopper out of Nam, we got people on the floorboard, like, we're trying to get out of Saigon."
You know it's got to be expensive too.
Right. Like, that thing isn't cheap, whatever, it's cool, it's a cool idea, and I can't imagine or can't remember a time where a product maybe the first iPhone was like this, where they were doing really weird shit to get them over here.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember exactly, but I could very well see that being the case. The fact that they're going to air freight these over here means that they're expecting, number one, a very strong demand, which we've already seen basically
Right.
with the pre-orders, and number two, they're expecting supply constraints.
Mhm.
So they're going to do whatever they can to get as many here as possible.
Yeah.
So I think you add all these things up, and the clear red flag is that there's going to be supply droughts on the way. Number seven, the NPD Group released industry sales data for the month of August. The best selling games on PS4 during the month were in order. Number one, Madden NFL 21, which is 21 straight years that Madden is the top selling game during its launch month. It is the best selling sports franchise of all time in the United States and third best selling franchise overall. Number two was Ghost of Tsushima, followed by UFC 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, The Last of Us Part 2, Minecraft, Final Fantasy VII Remake, MLB The Show 20, Marvel's Spider Man, and PGA Tour 2K21 at number 10. What do you think?
The 2 interesting things I see here are to be on this list, you wanna be a first party exclusive or a
Mm,
sports game. And
mm,
all of these sports games, they're the only game of that sport.
correct.
And it's crazy to me, like, clearly the demand is there to play a baseball game or a golf game or a football game, and nobody else makes one. It's very not competitive, and
Yeah,
people are saying how terrible Madden is. It's the
I
first
know.
year of PGA, so who knows what that'll be, but it's 2K, so it'll probably suck in a few years, and it'll just be about, men's leggings and Adidas shoes or whatever. Um, but again, the only cross-platform games on here is what? Call of Duty and, Minecraft?
Yeah. No, and then PGA, then the sports games,
Well, yeah,
obviously.
other than the sports games, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So,
Yeah.
that's what I think is fascinating about this list.
It's really cool to see Ghost of Tsushima still there at number two,
Right.
a month after their release, and The Last of Us Part 2 at number five, right? And so it's good for them that their sales are still going strong. Number eight, upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive Godfall released a new trailer over the weekend highlighting the game's combat. The game seems to have received a bit of a graphical upgrade since the last time we saw it. We also learned that there will be multiple editions of the game: the base game, the deluxe edition, which will include the game's first expansion, and then also the Ascended Edition, which includes the expansion and several extra cosmetic items. Following the PS5 showcase on Wednesday, developer Counterplay Games announced that the game has gone gold and will launch alongside the PlayStation 5 on November 12th. What do you think about this? Did you see the new trailer at all or no?
I did. I thought the combat looked really cool. I thought the effects looked really cool. Like the colors that were kind of flying off,
Yeah,
and some of the combat was so intense and so close quarters, you couldn't really make heads or tails of what was going on. It was so much chaos.
sure.
And after the whole thing and that whole trailer, I'm still lukewarm.
Yeah, so my interest has increased in the game. I still want to wait for reviews and see how it gets reviewed, but it looks very pretty and it looks better than it ever has. I'll say that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll have to wait.
100%.
We'll have to, yeah. So we'll wait and see how it comes out. Number nine, Travis, we have several news nuggets here that I'll run through. If you feel like you want to jump in at any point, feel free to do so. First nugget here, website Video Games Chronicle reported that Portuguese retailer Gaming Replay has leaked the Mass Effect trilogy remastered with an October release date. The listing was quickly deleted, as you might imagine. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that the name change of Ubisoft's Immortals Phoenix Rising from Gods and Monsters appears to be due to a legal trademark challenge by Monster Energy. Ubisoft has since denied the report.
That this does not feel like Monster to me. I feel like they're the type of company that's just like free advertising if you think of that.
Right. They're in Death Stranding, they're in games all the time, and then
Right.
they're gonna get mad about this?
They're
I don't
gonna
know.
be all over the new Dirt game. Like,
Right.
I've just it just doesn't seem like this is a thing. And also
I know.
monsters, like, do they sue Monsters Inc? Like, everything
Yeah.
is monsters are everywhere.
There's all kinds of things. I don't know about that one. Also, Travis, website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Michael Ansel, the creative director behind the upcoming games Beyond Good and Evil 2 and the PS4 exclusive Wild, is retiring from the gaming industry to start a wildlife sanctuary. In a statement, that's true. In a statement, Ansel assured fans that both games are in good hands moving forward.
Are the animals in good hands? I'm more worried about them than your games. What are you doing?
uh, he's got to be better. He's got to be better than the Tiger King.
Oh god.
Website PlayStation Universe reported that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake has sold over 1 million copies since launch, making it the fastest selling game in franchise history. Website Gematsu reported that action adventure platformer Golden Force will release on PS4 sometime in quarter 4 of this year. That Borderlands 3 will make its way to PS5, possibly in 2020, with cross platform play coming to the game in 2021. The PS5 version of the game will include 4K 60 and split screen co op. That anime action RPG Zengon has been delayed to 2021 on PS4. That limited run games will sell a limited physical edition of Doom 64 on PS4. Pre orders will open on September 25th. That adventure game Tohu will release on PS4 sometime in 2020. That puzzle adventure game Iris.Fall will launch on PS4 on January 8th. That side scrolling action game Bladed Fury will release on PS4 on January 21st. That vertical shoot 'em up Ginga Force will launch on PS4 on September 24th. That story driven third person science fiction adventure game, The Uncertain Light at the End, will come to PS4 in 2021. That Fall Guys received a mid season update, which adds new round variations and a new obstacle called Big Yeetus, which you reported on for us here. Gamatsu also reported that first person slasher Ghost Runner will launch on PS4 on October 27th. PlayStation Plus subscribers can purchase the title right now for 20% off. That first person science fiction retro future thriller, The Invincible, will launch on PS5 at some point in 2021. That narrative adventure game from Don't Nod Entertainment, Twin Mirror, will release on PS4 on December 1st. That first person narrative horror game, Amnesia Rebirth, will launch on PS4 on October 20th. That Rocket League will officially go free to play on September 23rd. That anti gravity combat racing game, Pacer, has been delayed from September 17th and will now launch by the end of September. That publisher developer Konami is currently working on a game based on the popular space fantasy manga Eden's Zero. That comic book inspired third person action shooter Foreclosed will launch on PS4 and PS5 in 2021. That motocross game MXGP 2020 will release on PS4 and PS5 on December 10th. That Katamari Damacy reroll will come to PS4 on November 20th. That Chicago set gangster strategy game Empire of Sin will launch on PS4 on December 1st.
Can we talk about how they advertise these strategy games like Empire of Sin?
Sure.
Like you go into the trailer and it shows it's like, it's all 3D rendered. It looks pretty good, most
Hmm.
for all things considered. And it shows you like, these people talking and they're shooting at people and they're barrel rolling out of the way. And
Uh
then
huh.
they zoom out on gameplay and you're like playing Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate
I know
that.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's kind of misleading there for
Like,
a minute.
yeah, like it's listen, guys, it's not. Just show me what it is.
Right. Gematsu also reported that action platformer Balan Wonderland, I have no idea if I'm saying that right, will release on PS4 and PS5 on March 26th. That time traveling puzzle platformer Yestermorrow, great name, will
Yeah,
launch on PS4 on November the 5th. That visual novel game Gothic Murder Adventure That Changes Destiny will release on PS4 on September 24th. Here we go. That Japanese action shooter Shujo Jigoku no Doku Masume
great
will
name.
come will come will come to the West as Poison Control. You caught me off guard there. And will release on PS4
Okay,
in early 2021.
they called it poison control for us dumb Americans.
All that shit translates to poison control. Give me a
There's no
break.
way, no way.
Oh god. Yeah, Gamatsu also reported that open-ended sim RPG, I don't know what the hell that means, Potion Permit will release on PS4 in 2021. That action adventure farming RPG Kitaria Fables will come to PS4 sometime in 2021. Gamatsu also reported that publisher Bandai Namco Entertainment Europe has acquired Montreal based developer Reflector Entertainment, who recently announced their game Unknown 9 Awakening. That PlayStation bound cinematic science fiction action adventure game Jet, The Far Shore, has been delayed to 2021. That dystopian science fiction game Observer System Redux will launch on PS5 on November the 12th. And finally, that THQ Nordic parent company Embracer Group is at it again and has acquired developer Vertigo Games. Vertigo Games is a VR studio whose projects include zombie shooter Arizona Sunshine and the upcoming shooter After the Fall. They're trying to take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all for the news this week, Travis. And now it's time to get into this week's new game releases. Take it away.
New this week on PS4 is Active Neurons 2, something that nobody in this country has anymore. Also coming out, Arcade Archives, Gemini Wing, Control Ultimate Edition, Crisis Remastered, D-Leveled on PS Plus, PES Football to 2021, the season update standard edition, which is basically roster update, kit update, league updates, which is we've talked about before. Maybe sports games could be that in the future, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Fluxterra Space Bundle, followed by Kerbal Space Program Enchanted Edition Complete, which is a management space program you build on your own. So you might like that. You have these little green guys that kind of look like the green guys from Toy Story. They're your little
Apparently, it's very,
astronauts.
yeah, apparently it's a very popular game.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Following that, we have Minoria Outbreak Epidemic, which is what's happening right now. Spelunky 2, Spot the Difference. Sushi Break Avatar Full Game Bundle. Taco Tan. That's Takotan if you're interested, not Taco. That would be a completely different game.
Hmm.
Followed by The True, Tin and Kuna. Vampire the Masquerade Shadows of New York. Wintermore Tactics Club on PS Plus. Wreckfest Complete Edition. WWE 2K Battlegrounds. And Yoga Master Magic Atmosphere Bundle.
And that is all for the new game releases this week. As Travis mentioned, Wintermore Tactics Club and D-Leveled are on a special PlayStation Plus sale this week. So check those out if you're interested. Wintermore Tactics Club is done by the guys who developed the Banner Saga trilogy.
Hmm.
So those are good games. Travis, let's start to wrap things up here as we run out of time. I wanted to talk to you briefly this week about the 2021 PlayStation 5 games lineup, where it currently sits at, which some delays may be likely, but currently we're scheduled in 2021 to get Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, presumably, Deathloop, and Returnal, just to name a few. All games exclusive to the PlayStation 5 as well as now PlayStation 4 for some we know. So what do you think about this lineup of 2021 games? It's it's pretty bitchin'.
Right.
That's an impressive lineup for the first full year after a console launch. What are your thoughts?
Out of those, you feel like kind of God of War will be the last one we get based off of the fact that we only know
Yeah.
the name.
Yeah.
And Ratchet and Clank seems like it's pretty close. So does Deathloop. So, like we said before, we think, and like Sony said before, they'll probably end up releasing these kind of sporadically, so we get a new, as you say, banger every few months.
Mhm.
There's a rumor coming out of Europe that we might get a Gran Turismo prologue these holidays, and then
Hmm.
your progress there will transfer over once the real game comes out, which contradicts what they said, I guess 2 years ago now when they said they weren't going to do any more prologues because we had a prologue for GT6. So that'll be interesting. I could see them doing that just to kind of, maybe if there's a lull or maybe some of these games get delayed, they might throw out a prologue, or they might tell them they need to throw out a prologue to get people to do something, have something over the winter.
Right, right. I so this is a hell of a lineup. I think if I'm just taking a guess, I think Ratchet and Clank is probably March. Horizon is probably April. I would put Deathloop in June probably. Returnal around August. God of War sometime in October or November. And then Gran Turismo 7, I don't really know where that fits in. Did they have like a time frame that they historically fit into, or are they just kind of all over the place with their release dates? Like do they normally try to come out in like the winter time or this like what, or does it matter?
They usually do what Cyberpunk does, where they tell you something and they delay and then they delay. So it's Gran
Oh,
Turismo. You never know. There's always something, like the guys that make that game are like perfectionists, so they always find something to tweak, or they don't like, or they want to go record a new sound on an engine or something. So who
hmm.
knows? Who the hell knows? I would say it won't be anytime soon.
They'll be the wild card then. It's weird though that we've seen pretty lengthy gameplay though. I mean, I guess it could have just been a vertical slice that they made for that, but
Right.
usually when you start to see gameplay of something, you're getting pretty well on in development. So, Travis, why don't we start to wrap things up here? Talk to me about what you're going to be playing in the week ahead here.
Well, I guess we're going to be playing a lot of the Call of Duty Alpha this weekend.
Oh hell yeah!
So, what we just see, we saw earlier, we can vote on maps. So that's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see how that goes. Hopefully it's good, and I'll end up pre-ordering it. That's the plan. I would
Mm-mm.
like to do the raid on the Avengers at some point if we're all on, but who knows if we'll all be
Mm.
online. And you guys seem to think we can platinum that, but I don't know. Seems like it's not going to happen.
Just time consuming. Just time consuming.
And other than that, I'll probably do another race or two this week. I don't even know where I am. Whatever race 7 is, I think we're at Monaco, which I will suck
Sweet.
at because I'm only good at I'm good at driving fast. I'm not good at like these city circuits where you have to be slow and technical. Like that's not what my car's set up for. So I'm sure that'll be a disaster.
Are you going to stream it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I might set it up to where I only do so many flashbacks because I just hate slow tracks. So if I crash 5 times, just forget it. I'll come in last. Go to
Sure.
the next one.
Well, I'm going to play Red Dead Online this week per usual to get challenges. You and I and John plan to play the alpha for Black Ops Cold War this weekend. Going to crush that as much as possible. That'll be fun to get our fill and get a good glimpse at it. We'll probably mix in some Modern Warfare, I would assume, at some point, and I definitely want to mix in a heavy dose of Avengers. Keep playing that and getting our level up there. And then I'll probably mix in some NBA 2K21 at certain points, just here and there whenever I have some free time, or maybe you guys aren't on. So we'll see if that game stays as difficult as it appears to be, or if that's just a figment of everyone's imagination. So, and that's probably about it. So, Travis, that's all we've got for this episode. If you guys enjoy the show, again, we would appreciate if you would subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave us a review or share us with a friend. You can find us every Sunday on your favorite podcasting platform. We thank you guys for listening. Travis, thanks for joining me to record, and we will talk at you guys next week.